Hello guys, it is Teenage DC Fan back with another video, and in today's video I will be reviewing the latest episode of Supergirl titled All About Eve. And this episode really is all about Eve, because it's all about the hunt for Eve, because obviously everybody knows that she was a traitor and she was just pretending to be working with Lena, and that she's working with Lex Luthor, and she was the whole time. And Lex Luthor does not appear in this episode, but that's alright because the episode's pretty much about him anyway, but like without having him in it. So I'm gonna start off by talking about the John Jones / Martian Manhunter storyline of the episode. So I'll start off by saying that Jean, like, he can't, he's having a hard time finding out, like, who he is, because he thought he was supposed to be a man of peace, but then he killed Manchester, so he's no longer a man of peace. So then he does his whole praying thing, and then asks for help from his father, and then, before you know it, his father shows up at the door. So that was pretty cool. I'm glad that he came back, even though it was just for one episode. And then he basically says, you said you were no longer a man of peace, so now I must take away the symbols of peace that that Jean had, that Myrn, or M apostrophe IRRN. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but I'm just gonna call him Myrn. It sounds weird, but whatever. So Myrn said that he wasn't worthy, so then he was going to take away the symbols of peace. So then that's exactly what he did. But then Jean ended up fainting. And then when he woke up, his father was still there, and then he said, I only stayed because you fainted. And then he was getting ready to leave. And then Jean was like, no, I need help. I need advice. Tell me how I can fix this, how I can become a man of peace again, or something like that. And then Myrn says, you know what would fix this? A nice fresh cup of coffee, because he doesn't know how to say coffee, and he wasn't on Earth very long before he died, but he really liked the coffee. So then they had some coffee, and they talked about it, and then one thing led to another. Myrn ended up getting Jean mad, and then he was like, who are you? And then Jean said, I am the Martian Manhunter. So basically, the whole time, Myrn was just trying to get him angry so that he could figure things out on his own, and that's what he did. And I like that they're finally calling him Martian Manhunter, so it's more towards the comics. I mentioned this in my last review. I wish that he was in his Martian form more. Well, actually, it was my review from a couple weeks ago, actually. The episode when he killed Manchester. But that was pretty much it for the Martian Manhunter storyline. And then, like, Myrn just went away because that was kind of just, like, all in his head. And he was still, like, doing the praying / dreaming thing. The weird thing that he does in his robe thing. So moving on. So Supergirl returns the Legion ring to Brainy, because they got that back from Manchester. And then she ends up working with Lena and Alex, as you can see in the picture here, that to try and capture Eve and Lex, because the rest of the DEO is focusing on protecting the president and stuff. So that's nice. So then they team up, and they go to see one of Eve's family members, I think her cousin. And you can kind of see her over here. There's part of her. So basically, she's telling her her story, and like how she knows that Eve couldn't be working with Lex Luthor because she was such a nice girl and she would never do anything like that. But then she goes to but then Supergirl finds out that she's lying because her heart's beating really fast. So then the lady goes to get a cake or muffins or something out of the oven, and then she's just holding it with her bare hands, and they're like, ma'am, your hands. And then she's like, oh yes, ow, ow. Like you could tell that she was pretending that it hurt. And then they realize that, when Eve talked about her, she said that she had cancer. Obviously, she didn't have cancer here, and that's because after Eve got away with Lex, she went to her cousin, this lady, and gave her the cure. Now she has superpowers, and she doesn't have cancer anymore. So that's cool that they found a cure for cancer, but, I mean, gave her superpowers too. And then she told them about Eve's lab, so then they went to the lab, and this is when things got real good. So then they found the gun that matched the bullet from the the gun that it was the gun that shot James, and so now they know that Eve was the one that did that, and yeah, so that's that. And then they get looking on the computers, and then they find out that Eve's been using the Metallo protocol. If you don't know who Metallo is, basically, he's John Corbin, and he died, but then, he was brought back to life with a kryptonite heart, and, like, he was like a robot, basically, but he kind of, like, wore his skin over the robotic parts, and it was weird. So then they find out that that's how Otis came back to life. They used the Metallo protocol on him, and then some random guy comes crashing through the wall that obviously had the Metallo program like done to him. So he's got the kryptonite heart and the robot parts. So then there's this huge fight scene. And Supergirl is weak because, his heart is made of kryptonite and is shooting stuff at her. So then Lena makes a bomb, throws it at Metallo, then they go boom. And then they take the kryptonite heart back to the DEO, they lock it up, and then later they find out that Eve is in Washington, so then they go to Washington, because there was that whole big alien rights repeal thing, and it was just approved, and then Eve is there, and then, so everybody's inside, including James, and then Supergirl is outside looking for Eve, and then she finds the car that's, like, protected, so then she rips open the door, sees Eve, and then finds out it's a hologram. Then one of Lex's suits starts attaching itself to Kara, so then she's basically wearing one of Lex's suits, but it's like filled with kryptonite, so she's weakened. And while that's happening, Red Daughter, aka the Russian Supergirl clone thing, is dressed up as Supergirl and talking in an American accent, and then goes to attack the White House, while actual Supergirl is stuck inside the Lex's suit, and she doesn't end up getting out until after Red Daughter gets done, like, shooting people and stuff. And then, so then in the aftermath, the president declares Supergirl public enemy number 1. So, obviously that's not good. And, well, yeah, that's pretty much gonna have to do it for this review. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video so I can bestow all my DC knowledge upon you.